You're listening to the MLS Fantasy Insider, bringing you weekly tips, tricks, and advice for the official MLS fantasy game.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's show. You beat me to it. It is a special show because it's going to be led by our very own Tyler Ranchinator tonight. I am going to be Lady Boss is prepping for a job interview. Coming up, and so I'm going to make sure that I am there to help keep an eye on little old baby Rue, and so I'm going to leave you all in the very capable hands of this crew tonight, and so it should be very, very fun. But that's what I'm up to. But we're excited to have you all here. Social is out on Discord. Social is going out right now on Twitter. So always happy if people could retweet that. Help share all the good things that happen here with fantasy. If I can see if it'll fine be that way. Twitter, don't
forget to hit record.
I will hit record. Don't worry. I'll do it right now.
I figured you.
Recording in progress.
That time. I felt like you were going to say, I will forget to hit record.
No. But good call. Make sure I get it. Okay, so there's all the social out. If you're joining us for the first time here on YouTube, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Normally we come to you live on Mondays with the week, but because of the holiday here in the U.S., the holiday that we have with Labor Day and some schedules, we delayed that start this time. But we are so happy to have everybody with us tonight on this Tuesday. Not a big deal because there is plenty of time still for this planning. So with that being said, I will sign off and turn things over to your host of the night, Tyler. So good luck.
Oh man, we have to stare at his portrait the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. All right. Now that the boss is gone, let's start this up. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Got to put on my podcaster voice. Hello, and welcome to the MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of round 25 of the 2024 MLS Fantasy season. This episode is brought to you by New Boss in Charge. No. It's actually brought to you by our amazing MLSFI Patreon supporters. It's because of your support that we're able to keep this project going. Our supporter tiers have been updated and the league links have been posted. Learn more at patreon.com/MLSFI. Welcome. I'm your host, Tyler Norman from MLSFantasyBoss.com. And tonight I'm joined by a couple guests and partners in fantasy. We have Christian Ward from the Discord and Andrew from Sounders at Heart. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. All in charge today.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah. Let's actually start with Andrew. How did you do on your takeaways for round 24?
Round 24 was okay. I got 83 points. Up in the overall rankings a little bit to 177, so clinging to the top 200. The big thing, of course, this past week was all our plans for Columbus having the double game week were thrown out the window when they subbed out almost all their whole lineup. So I stuck with the three Philly players I'd planned to go with: Baribo, Wagner, and Gazdag, and they did all right. It was a little unfortunate Gazdag was the one of them I picked as captain since he scored the least, but they did well. I kept Cucho just because he's got such a high ceiling, and then pivoted to Schultz and Zawadzki in the Columbus defense, and of course they went and got a clean sheet there on the road, despite changing out everybody. So that worked out pretty well for me. My biggest letdown was I changed Suarez out for Buanga, and that was a loss of about 13 points since I wasn't expecting Houston to do so well in LA and beating them 2-0. And then, of course, Miami just steamrolled over Chicago, and Suarez had his 2 goals and I think a ton of key passes as well. So that didn't work out as well, but I was pleased with the week.
Good. Christian, how about you?
Oh boy. My only solace is that I beat both of you this week. I had 85 points. I'm at overall rank 28, which is really soul killing for me. I know first world problems, champagne problems, whatever, but I have gone on a giant slide the past 6-7 weeks. And I think a lot of it has to do with rotation and fixture congestion and not being able to navigate that very well. But not a great week, but not terrible either. I messed up on defense. I faded the Columbus defenders because I had Schulte but on the bench, but I faded them for the single game week chalk, thinking that I was gonna double up on attack for both double game week teams, which I did. I actually benched 2 of each. I benched Schulte, got a 9. Wagner got an 11. I probably should have started him. But I like to have a strong bench going forward, especially if you got only 2 teams on a double game week. It's better to just start with a strong bench and then you have more flexibility later on.
Yeah, easier to adjust.
Yeah. And I knew Gazdag was like so primed to fail, and I knew that was going to happen, but I took him anyway because he's the only other Philly attacker really that I would want. And so he got his 6 and I stranded him. I have Rossi on the bench with a 13, which I took over. I think the most popular alternative to Rossi was probably
Rebo,
well, I had him too.
Oh.
So I had Cucho, Rossi, and Bariba, and I captained Cucho. So your Gazdag captain beat my Cucho captain.
Oh,
so don't feel bad.
Oh, Andrew did?
Yeah. But for defense, I knew, like Tyler's about to say, I also knew that Charlotte was going to concede. But I took Malanda anyway, thinking that just in case. Plus, I really hated all the defense options otherwise that weren't Columbus. So he got a 4. I mean, for a single game week, center back, 4 points. That's not terrible.
Yeah. Yes,
it's terrible, but it's not terrible. Could have got a 2. And then I chalked up on Gallagher, but only because, I'm at a point where I'm on a slide and I figured, why not try something fun? He was scrubbable. I didn't end up scrubbing him for Gazdag 6, but I tried Gallagher just because he's had a good, maybe call it point chasing, whatever. I had Bogush. Man, LA is just suffering. Fixture congestion is just killing them. I had Evander, I had Hartel and Royce. Now, Royce, okay, I've been watching Royce for years at Borussia Dortmund. This guy can play anywhere across the front line, the front 4, and he is always a goal threat. And unfortunately, I didn't get to actually put eyes on that game. I read somewhere in Discord that he looked like he was flagging it, in the second half, like he was really exhausted. which explains a lot because really he just joined LA Galaxy when Bundesliga was starting their season. So he joined not really being match fit.
Yeah.
So, but Royce, don't let this, trust me, don't let this 3 fool you. Royce is money. Like if he starts, pick Royce. I'm starting to think the same thing about Hartel because even though he was I think he was in a Bundesliga 2 team,
I'm not
or
sure.
no, maybe he was in just one of the bad, like maybe he was with one of the lower half of the table in Bundesliga 1. But he seems legit. I mean, Hartel has got some serious chops. So he got an 8, Evander got an 8, Bogusz got a 6, Royce got a 3. What a crappy week. I mean, 85 isn't bad, but it's just abysmal thing. You know, I was going in thinking, yeah, these guys were money and they let me down again. But whatever. But anyway, fixture congestion is my biggest rant. Why do we have to have all these secondary tournaments? And why don't we take time off for international breaks? I don't get it. Like our roster construction still, even with the new slots, isn't going to cut it. Like you're going to see guys getting hurt. You're going to see guys getting rotated a lot. So it's going to make your fantasy picks a little more difficult going forward, I think, as we start to push for playoffs and the regular season winds down a bit. You would think they wouldn't rotate as much if they're making a push for the playoffs, but the teams that you want to pick from, the good teams that have already kind of locked it in, you're going to see rotation there that is kind of fantasy unfortunate. You know what I mean? So those are kind of my takeaways. Nothing really earth shattering.
Yeah, and like the Crew have, they've only played 25 games compared to 27 for a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
They've still got 2 extra games to add in here on top of all the other tournament games they've played. So that's definitely going to be a big issue going forward.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Maybe they'll
they
still
at
get
least
wins.
have the personnel to do it.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, they're one of the deepest teams out here.
Yeah.
I finished with an 83, so I was right there with Andrew, and I actually was not happy about this score like at all. I moved up 1 rank. I'm now overall 9, and
Yay.
most of my
I'm very
mistakes were
happy for you.
Yeah, like this is the best I've
this
ever
is
done.
genuine,
Single
man.
digits.
I'm not mocking you. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah,
You
a
deserve
lot of
this
my
after.
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've just most of my mistakes were on defense. I felt like I did pretty good offensively with like mids and forwards, but I gambled too hard defensively, and that's why I don't like my score. I grabbed a Cincinnati defender thinking, oh, they can shut out Montreal. That was a big thought. But I luckily benched Miles Robb for that. And if I grabbed a Waziem instead, I would have taken that. I think he finished on an 8, even without the clean sheet. I also fell into the Gallagher chalk and was disappointed. And then I had the dumbest gamble of all time, and I will straight up say that. I grabbed a road defender in Nick Lima against RSL.
Good Lord.
I know. It was horrible.
That's sure a pick.
What are you thinking, dude?
I don't know. I looked at the game. I'm like, yeah, there's a clean sheet in there. And then I looked at the line. I'm like, no, Rongo. I'll grab Lima. No.
How many points did Lima have against Montreal? Didn't he have like a goal and assist?
He had 2 assists.
2 assists.
Yeah, so it was definitely point chasey. But I realistically should have grabbed a RSL guy, and I would have been happy with the way the week ended if I did that.
Petronis would have been my pick.
Yeah, that probably. I might have gone Vera.
Yeah, Vera, because he's on set pieces.
Yeah. But for the week, my big differential type pick, I grabbed Mihailovic this week and threw him on my bench. He
Man,
still
so
looks like
close.
an absolutely really strong player.
I was
And
so close to doing that.
yeah, if he scored his PK, he finishes the week on a 14 or 15, which is actually crazy for a random differential. Unfortunately, it got saved, so he finished on a 7. But I think that people need to keep looking at him. I know when I was talking to the priest, who's rank 1 right now, he was like, no, you shouldn't grab Mihailovic. He had a really bad Leagues Cup, and it's recent form that you should be worried about. And I thought about it, but I'm like, my gut just says to grab him. So I grabbed him anyways, and this guy was racking up bonus points like crazy. I think in the first half, he had like 12 key passes, and I'm like, whoa, it's going to be a big game.
Mhm.
So I would just say Mihailovic is a player to keep an eye on every single week that he's available. Just in general. Like Christian, I looked at that Charlotte game. I'm like, that's way too baity. It's bad chalk in my opinion. So I just didn't even look at Charlotte defenders this week. Nashville continues to be one of the worst teams in the league right now, if not the worst. Like that showing against Orlando was bad. And if Orlando can clean sheet you, you know you're messing up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The LAFC Houston game, I almost want to chalk up to LAFC just being mentally drained because they played 2 big competitions in back-to-back games on a short week, and then they had to play a leagues game, and it looked bad. But I think it's solely because they played Leagues Cup finals, which is a really big mental for them, and then they played US Open Cup on Wednesday, and then they played the weekend. I'm like, I'll chalk it up to like just a bad mental day.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
fair.
Go ahead.
I don't think that's a very deep team. They added a
LAFC?
couple of guys, but yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, they have bodies on the roster and they're all pretty good quality players, but if you think about it, like they just added O'Brien. Bogusz has been,
Up and
rode
down.
hard and put away wet. Bouanga the same way. I mean, like these guys, they can't, like LAFC's defense is terrible. Like you don't want to pick their defenders. Maybe you want to pick Lloris once in a while, but their attack is, I think Giroud is injured
He picked
now.
up an injury in the US Open, I
Yeah.
believe.
So yeah, I mean, Bouanga, wasn't it earlier this season he had like the yips or something? He couldn't score to save his life, and
Yeah.
the crossbar and him got really acquainted, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it took him like 12, 15 weeks to score a road goal.
Yeah.
He
for
scored
road,
just
yeah.
fine at home, but
Yeah,
So
he
like
was
I have a
doing well at
feeling
home.
this is returned. Like Houston may very well shut them out again, but
I mean, to be fair, Houston is a really good defensive team most years.
especially at home.
Oh yeah. Andrew, do you have anything else to add for takeaways?
I was surprised that the Timbers were able to hold Seattle goalless after, everybody's talking about how they can't hold anybody out of the net. Well, here comes Seattle, giving them a gift. Timbers played really deep. They played a very deep line, which meant that Morris didn't have room to run in on long balls, and they couldn't put in through balls to their new signing coming up from USL Next, Georgie Manungu, and of course Rothrock and Roldan couldn't quite find the room either. Seattle had some chances, but the Timbers did well enough to hold them out, and it seemed like Seattle, I don't know if they just ran out of gas or what happened towards the end, but it was the same kind of toothless play they had earlier in the year. So I don't know how much of that is, the Timbers figuring out how to defend Seattle, or Seattle just kind of reverting to kind of stale play. But that
And
was
they have a midweek game
disappointing.
too
This week or last? Oh
last
yeah,
week.
we had last week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
could have
the
been.
Open Cup probably didn't help matters. It was a very disappointing result for Seattle. The goal LAFC got was kind of a questionable handball. I didn't agree with it. I know some other people thought it was legit, but I'm sure that they were playing with a lot of some exhaustion there.
Yeah. Looking at the chat, we got 91, 84. Yeah, I feel like mid to low 80s was about average this week. 90 is amazing. If you got 100, like you knocked it out of the park. I don't know how many people actually got 100 though. Probably not many. Let's take a quick break and then stay with us, and we're gonna move on to housekeeping. Yeah, I think Manungu is gonna be something special for Seattle.
Manungu, Nuhu,
No,
Mhm.
Nuhu's over.
he's gone.
He's past his prime. No, it's Rothrock and Manungu, dude. Those guys
Yeah.
can ball.
You guys said that about. Never mind. I'm not even gonna go there
Leo
because I'm gonna pick
I
a
never
fight
said it
with two
about Leo
guys, two Seattle guys, and I'm just the lowly Minnesota
I like to think we're
fan.
reasonable,
You guys, well, no, you guys are, but
mostly.
you guys can be insufferable. Tyler knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. Part of it is we do it just because you guys say we're gonna be insufferable, so we do it anyway.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's exactly right.
All right.
There was a point in time, I think it was last year, where the entire chat was rave green. The entire Discord chat was rave green. Like everybody was Seattle.
Uh-huh. I remember that. Yeah, I think it was during a Sounders game at night though. So can you really blame them?
It's the off season too. You guys, there's a lot of Sounders people that anyway. We can go on.
Okay. All right. All right, welcome back. We're gonna go into housekeeping, and since we got a new boss in town who is not in every single league, we're gonna skip over the leagues this week. Wah wah. But I can tell you that some guy that we may know is still leading Veterans League. That's all that really matters, right?
Yeah, don't mention him, please.
I won't mention him. He'll get too proud of himself if I mention him.
Yeah, he'll become insufferable.
Literally.
Uh-huh.
Some notes for this week. We're entering round 25, which is the first week of Champions League. If you made it, congratulations. Top 200 people across 4 different rounds are now in the final fight for Champions League to win some extra little cash. I think it's like top 5 possibly for
Sounds right.
cash there. Yeah, first gets 500 and second through fifth gets 100. So everything is going to start on Saturday, September 7th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time with most of the games, which is 3 of them. You have 2 more games that start at 8:30 Eastern, and then you have one final game at 10:30. I almost said 7:30 because it's west for me. At 10:30 Eastern time. There are no double game weeks, and there are a whole slew of bye week teams this week. So your switcheroos, autoroos should be quite simple this week.
Or non-existent.
Or non-existent, yeah. It could be either realistically.
Yeah.
For this week though, there are quite a few absences because it is a international week, which is why there are not many teams playing. And Christian Artie was pretty upset about it and voiced it earlier. I'm just gonna go over the main teams that are missing players for this week. We have Columbus, who will be out Mo Farsi, Hagen, Schulte, Cucho, and Steven Moreira. Dallas will be out one of their new signings, Show, Patrickson Delgado, and their goalkeeper, Paz. DC will be missing Enal, Aaron Herrera, and Patola. Houston is missing a backup goalkeeper. Sporting Kansas City is missing Afrifa, who's been somewhat solid recently. LAFC is missing just about their entire offense. You got Bogush, Bowanga, Omar Compost, Maxime Chanot, David Martinez, and Christian Oliveira are all missing for LAFC. Let's see, who else do we have? New England will be missing Arriaga, Bahaterovic, and Yusuf. The Red Bulls are missing Cornell, their starting goalkeeper, Noah Ile, and Lewis Morgan, and they're missing their backup goalkeeper, Stokes. Who else?
What do you mean? Isn't Mira their backup?
Oh, right, Mira is. I read Stokes as a goalkeeper. I'm like, oh, he's missing. So they might not have an extra goalkeeper on the bench if Mira gets injured.
Yeah.
Scrolling through, seeing who's left. Seattle is missing Nuhu and Obed Vargas. St. Louis has nobody called up. And then
Shocker.
you have Vancouver, who is missing Ali Ahmed, Andreas Kubas, Ryan Gald, Fafa Pico, and Pedro Vite. All big names. Luckily,
I guess I'm taking Pico off of my list. Okay. Continue.
Yeah. Luckily, there were not many injuries and suspensions this week, although the injuries were pretty severe when there were injuries. There's only 2 suspensions that matter for this week. We have Rafael Chihos for Chicago, picked up his yellow card and is suspended for this game. You have Malte Amundsen for Columbus. Another Columbus defensive person is going to be missing. That's crazy. You have Moreira and Malte Amundsen and both goalies out.
And Farsi.
And Farsi, yeah. Whoa.
Yep.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. They're
playing Seattle.
Defenders. No, but they've got DeJuan Jones, they've got Herrera, they've got Camacho, they've got what's his face? Zawatsky, who can slip back there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine.
True. But those were the only suspensions for this week. Well, at least for these teams. Injury wise, we have Shaberko.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Did you pick up a red?
No. It's Ron said Shaberko.
So, I was like,
sorry.
Huh?
I'll stop vocalizing. I'm just like Mr. Derailment here. Sorry.
There were 3 injuries this week, and all were pretty major. You have Stefan Fry, who got 5 minutes after an amazing double save, took a knee to the face, and he had to get 10 stitches and is in concussion protocol. You have Matt Freeze, another goalkeeper for NYCFC, who came out to clear a ball and landed really awkwardly. I haven't seen the update, but it's a knee injury.
Oh.
And then you have Lawrence Anali for Houston. Their brand new signing tore his ACL. So he's out for the year. And that is absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
Anything else you guys want to add before we move on?
No.
Did you mention
Rep
Giroud?
my draft team.
Is Giroud out?
Oh yeah, Giroud picked
Giroud.
up a knee and what was it? Knee, ankle, something. He tweaked something during US Open Cup and likely will be out this week too. And then now that I think about it, Forsberg's been out for a while. I think he was on last.
Yeah,
week.
but he's relevant.
Okay, he's
for
out.
this week anyway.
I can't remember who the other guy was that I saw went out injured recently. Anyways, let's stick with us. We're gonna just get a quick water and then go into the best section, the player targets.
All right.
Oh, where's my water?
I don't know who the hell New York is going to have in the center of the park.
I don't know.
Is Amaya still there?
No, he got sold.
That's what I thought. So who do they got? They've got
Karbala.
yeah, but he's a 6, isn't he?
He's like a 6'8".
Is he?
Yeah.
I guess okay. So if they get Wiki back, he's a
Mhm.
decent actual differential this week, I think, if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Man, they have nobody.
There's so many teams that have like nobody. I don't know who LAFC is gonna field in that offense.
Yeah, that's going to be a big mystery to me.
I'll bet they
Kamara eats away.
start Tillman, O'Brien. Yeah, who would they put on the wings there? Good Lord. Who are they? who are they
Hollingshead
gonna play?
attack.
Yeah, right. Oh my
I
God, he would be so in my team.
I don't know if he would be in my team.
Well,
All right.
on the bench. I mean,
True. You could. All right, let's get on with it.
all right.
All right, welcome back, and we are going to jump into our player targets, the section everybody has been waiting for. We're going to start with keepers and defenders. Who do you got, Andrew?
I think I'm going to start out with Steve Clark. I think, Houston showed what they can do against LAFC, and LAFC is going to be without most of their big weapons. So he's kind of the one that I'm eyeing the most, and then doing a keeperoo with Takaoka in the evening, just because I think Vancouver is a little better defensively than FC Dallas. But if you think LAFC can sneak some goals, because they still do have quality guys, it'll be the Kai Kamara against the world. But he can score out of nowhere. Just get one set piece and he can be in there. I kind of like Andrew Thomas. If Columbus is missing all these guys, they didn't look super dangerous against Philadelphia until they brought on some of their subs.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to be bold and go with a different early play, I think Andrew Thomas could be the guy. I think Miara is kind of risky. I don't think New York has that great of a defense, and I think Kansas City has a good offense. And you could go Marrer if you think that Vancouver being without their weapons will hamper them at home, because Vancouver hasn't been the best home team this year. Some of their worst losses have been at home. So Dallas could sneak one there if Leggett is firing, if their defense can keep it together.
Yeah.
So he's probably an alternative to consider for the evening.
And defenders.
Oh yeah, for defenders, I do like Camacho. I mean, he's gonna have to be the rock for Columbus. I don't know if Seattle will be able to score. Even though Columbus didn't look super dangerous with all their backups, they still looked very organized defensively, and except for a few of those early post hits by Philadelphia, I'm not sure if Seattle's going to be able to score on them. I like Michael and pretty much anyone from the Houston defense that's starting. I like Cam Harper from the Red Bulls. I know Tolkien gets the plaudits, but Harper's got 5 goals on the year. He's had 3 bonus points in each of his last 3 starts. He was the last person subbed out in their last game. Tolkien played 90 minutes, and if he can get back to the form he had before he went to the Olympics, Tolkien is probably the guy to go with. But the last few games, Harper has done a little better than him, so he's one I'm eyeing. Veselinovic for the evening match, and if you're crazy, you could go with one of Yamar or Reagan in the early game if you want to
You
double
want to
up
try
on Seattle
something?
defense.
Yeah, I
If
like
you
the
want to
Harper
live on the
idea.
edge.
Yeah, that's really living on the edge. Christian, who do you have?
Well, I said before, I think Andrew Thomas has the reflexes of a cat. So, I wouldn't count. I mean, it is living on the edge. I don't think Seattle's going to keep a clean sheet, but I'll bet you they concede one, maybe two. Or they're going to concede 20. Who knows? But anyway, with that in mind, I am going to go with Romero. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go because Romero's listed as an LAFC player. And if I'm right about the API of the game, he'll be earning points without being locked. so I'm gonna try that anyway. Don't cheat. We've got a note into Skylar that to get him switched over because he's a viable player. But if he does get switched over to Columbus, I'm going to take him because I do believe Columbus can shut them out with the players that they have. So with that said, I have a wing back for Columbus Crew on my bench along with Romero in theory.
Okay.
I have John Tolkien on my bench. I like Harper too. I really do. Tolkien has is Harper on corner kicks or any of that?
No,
I don't think he is
he's just open play.
Okay. Well, the reason I like Tolkien is because he's on corner kicks.
Yeah, I think with all their missing pieces now he is.
Oh, they split last week apparently. All right, so I might switch to Harper. I like Harper better actually.
But it was split
Plus,
when Morgan
Harper's
was
not
around.
probably a flat earther,
Oh,
He
Harper
believes in-
took it. Okay.
That's a big point in his favor.
Yeah, gravity exists, okay, people. All right. So my Romero to Takaoka, Takaoka is your only fallback, really. I was thinking maybe Clark too, but I don't really like the stress of making that decision with 10 minutes left in a match because it never goes well. Whenever I do that, they'll concede.
It's not even 10, it's halftime.
Yeah, sometimes it's not even 10, especially if there's weather.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm doing. Takaoka. None of them are great options this week anyway. So I mean, whoever hits on defense this week is probably going to be pure luck, to be honest. I have Michael Dos Santos on the pitch. I'm starting him because he's kind of a bonus point earner. I mean, he'll have a monster game now and again. He could have one against these guys who are heavily rotated. Veselinovic as a backup. I mean, I hit big early in the season to gain overall rank 1 with a starting triple stack defense of
This
Vancouver
could be the
players.
week. I mean, this could be the week to find a triple stack.
And I am not feeling good about it this week.
Oh.
I'm not going to hit big with a Vancouver.
I think if
double
anybody
stack that I
wants to
have there.
catch overall 1, you got a triple stack though.
Oh yeah, for sure. You got to take some chances, man. But I mean, I would love to take some chances, but I don't know. It's kind of hard with how many 10 teams playing? 12 teams.
Yeah.
I suppose I could. I don't know. Chat, do you guys have any wild ass picks for me?
No.
Come on, I know you
They're
guys
quiet,
can do it. I know
Chris.
you guys can do it.
Here, I'll give you some wild
Crickets.
picks. You ready?
Yeah,
My
go
turn.
for it.
All
Go
right,
for it.
my keeperoo is completely different from you guys, and I don't know if I should be scared or confident with it. Because technically I'm double road, but I like their chances. I have Melia as my front end goalie because New York is missing almost their entire offense. And my fallback is actually Mauer because Vancouver is missing their entire offense. I mean, you're missing Gald, Fafa, and Brian White. That's basically your full offense. And I really truly think that Dallas gets a clean sheet this week. And I almost want to grab some of their defenders regardless of like what scores I have on the front end. I am someone who really likes to pair my goalies with my my defenders with my goalies. So I'm like hesitant on it, but I'm like Leopold or Jake Davis might be on my bench if I go Melia. And I love Mikael this week. I'm pretty sure he's going to be on my team. But one of my starters actually is Ruan right now. I love his offensive threat. He was already really good in Montreal, and now he's on a Dallas team where they have speed on speed on speed. And I like the chance of him both contributing a goal and getting a clean sheet. And then I have two that are like I could fade or I could keep depending on how matchups go. And it's I have Sviatchenko right now, just kind of double up on the defense for Houston. And Tafari is like my fade player right now. Looking at the chat, it looks like Macho is pretty common. Tolkien, Houston Defenders, Clark into Dallas, Romero, DeJuan Jones, good play.
I'm not real confident with your.
With my idea.
Yeah,
Is it because
I
they're
gotta
road?
say, well, that and the travel involved. I mean, you've got Dallas to Vancouver,
Yeah,
and
Kansas
I
City.
don't know. There's just
Detroit.
something about going into Canada that always nerfs teams. That it just, I don't know. It could work, but you just know that Berhalter's gonna shit. You know, like he's gonna score a dumbass goal. Like he
I don't
is.
know. He's gonna be the 10 for them.
Yeah.
he's
Well, I
he's
mean, the
their
guy's
Ryan
got
Gold.
pluck. He's got pluck. You got to give it to him. He's got chutzpah. You know, like
Yeah.
he's gonna play 90, and he's gonna play like he's angry. So
He said to grind to get where he is, after being kind of a cast off
yeah,
out of Columbus.
very true. Very true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you had Greg as your dad, I mean, you're gonna play pissed. I mean,
I would.
Yeah.
so
Looking at the other
Jake
games.
Jake Davis is a good idea.
Yeah,
Ron.
I do love the Jake Davis idea. Liebold is like
Yeah.
the bonus point guy, but Davis gets into the attack. And I see you both have Tolkien. I don't feel comfortable with Tolkien just because they're missing so much.
It was
And
a stretch. I mean, there was a
yeah,
home team,
and
and
SKC
he's on
scores.
corners. I mean,
Yeah, SKC scores though. Like
right,
they
and that's
always
just it.
score.
If I take, that's why I have Tolkien over Harper, because he's on corners. He's generally an attacking fullback.
Hmm.
I mean, and he's at home.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I don't like it at all. I think you're right. I think SKC has no problem scoring goals no matter where they're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tolkien would be just for his offensive production and the potential for a clean sheet. I mean, because there was a stretch there where he was getting 3 or 4 bonus points pretty much every
Yep.
game through just
Yeah.
his key plays, passes, crosses, and stuff.
And if Carmona's out, he's going to be more attacking, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like League's Cup heavily nerfed him.
Yeah, it's possible. The mental aspects they're real for sure.
Yeah. All right,
Maybe
let's
having to
move on
fly
to
around the country unnerved
Yeah,
or around
literally.
the globe unnerved him.
Yeah. Let's move over to midfielders. Christian, who do you got?
Okay, I really hate this pick. But I have Albert Rusnak. I'm sorry, guys. I don't like him. I think Columbus is going to just shut them down. But with an amazing dearth of set piece taking midfielders this week, he's in my team. Carlos Heel, I think you have to have him.
Yeah.
Not as flashy as in the past, but he's a set piece taking mid. Marcel Hartel with St. Louis, I think he's a must have, frankly, this week. Eric Tommy, for the reasons we just talked about, SKC scoring. These chances are pretty good. He's going to be involved because we all know Polito won't be. Did I say that out loud? And Hector Herrera has to be in your team too. If you don't have Hartel or Herrera, what are you guys even doing, man?
Yeah.
So I've got a list of. I'll leave off. I had a lot of double ups, so I'll leave the double ups for Andrew. But a couple of alternates, like some differentials maybe. I think if Dylan Barrero starts, I think he's a goal threat. Might be worth a slot. If Wiki Carmona starts, I think that given SKC's defensive woes the entire season, I think he's a decent shout for at least attacking bonus points, if not an assist or maybe even a goal. He shoots. Alejandro Matan, I think he probably gets the start for Columbus, and he's probably the only Columbus mid that's viable except for Chambost, which Chambost isn't in the game yet. And we're going to talk to Skylar about getting him in before the weekend. But if I could totally see them starting Matan on the left and Chambost in place of Ramirez in a 2 up top, possibly with Ramirez. I still think Ramirez starts, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it could be Chambost and Ramirez up top with Rossi in there somewhere. But, if Matan starts, he's been doing okay. He's not a bad player. He's gotten a lot better over the years. And, I think he got an assist or something this week, this last game, or 2 games
Matan,
ago,
yeah,
rather.
he had an assist
Yeah.
last game.
Amina Bassi is another one. Oh, sorry. I promised I would let you guys talk about those guys. You guys can.
You good. Okay.
I don't know if Forsberg is hurt, though. Is he actually hurt?
He's been listed as out the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
If
If Forsberg starts, I'd like him, but whatever.
yeah, that's
probably
fine.
gonna go 60 minutes.
He probably won't even start if he's available.
Yeah, and probably not go more than 60 even if he does.
Yeah.
Right.
Andrew, who do you have?
Well, I have almost the same exact starting 5. I like Hartel. He's looked really dangerous and been active in every way for St. Louis. I like Heel. I like Herrera, who is just having an insane year again with how many passes and how involved he is. What was it, 128 passes recorded in fantasy this past week?
I think
almost,
so, yeah.
Almost 4 key points just from passes. Or
He's gonna get a 3 because I'm picking him.
I want to say he was at like 76 at halftime, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. And I think Houston's going to be able to do a pretty similar game plan of just hold the ball, keep it out of LAFC's possession, make them run around in the heat. I assume it's going to be hot there this weekend, but I don't really know. And I like Bossy as well. If Houston does the same thing again, he had over 70 passes himself, which, it seems small in comparison to 128, but for a playmaker, that's a pretty hefty amount. And he had 8 key plays himself. He hasn't had less than 6 in any of his past 5 games, so he'll probably be involved. He only has 1 assist in the past 5 games, but he's still been playmaking. So if he can get on the scoreboard, I think he'll do well. I've
He's
got
also their
Rusnak.
PK taker.
He's been, if he can get a set piece delivery on point to Morris or one of the defenders or something, he's been money. He's got something like 20 goal contributions in all competitions this year, happening all over the place. So I like him, and he's the one I've got on my bench because if Columbus can strangle Seattle, I think that's quite possible. But I like Tommy, but I'm not sure about going with SKC. It's between Bossy and Tommy for me as in my 5th spot. I've thought about Brian Gutierrez over in Chicago. He doesn't seem to have as high of a ceiling, but DC's defense has been kind of all over the place this year, and if that's a high scoring game, I wouldn't be surprised if Gutierrez is involved. And then on the other side of that, you've got Ted Cudi Pietro, who's just been feeding Benteke and been getting assists. He had 6 points last week in their 3-1 win over Toronto. And if we're all taking Benteke, which is what it looks like coming up ahead, Ted's probably one of the better players to pair with him. And then I'll let you talk about Leggett, but he's a player I like as well.
Yeah. I have most of the players that you guys have hit on. I really like Hartel. I liked him last week. I liked him the week before. Like, he's been the guy that I enjoy seeing in fantasy as a newcomer so far. He's been my go-to guy. I also currently have Rusnak, but I'm not confident that I'm going to keep him because I feel like Columbus is really good at defensively, even when they're going to be on their 3rd string goalie. But we'll see. Maybe he goes too, or stays on my team. I like Tommy, and he was one of the first mids on my team because like I said, I already loved the matchup. Might as well keep Tommy as well. Hector Herrera is locked to everybody's team. It feels like he's locked, but might not be. I think home heel hopefully will be a different breed than away heel, because I think away heel was last week. Yeah, he still scored a 5 though. That's pretty good. Some extra guys to name. I know that we have been talking about Hartel a lot, but let's not forget that Leuven is also quite a viable player for SKC. He did, I think, lose corner kicks to Hartel, or they're splitting it, but Leuven is still on PKs, I believe. Bossy, like Christian said, a great player. And he's the penalty kick taker for Houston should LAFC give up a penalty. Leggett is like, I don't even know how to describe this guy right now. He came out with fire after Leagues Cup. Scored a 17 on the road to DC, which is actually ridiculous. And then he scored a 6 last week versus Colorado, and he didn't even have any goal contributions. So I think it's worth keeping an eye on. Like, is it Leggett? Is it Ieramendi? I don't know, either one. both are, I think, pretty reasonable players.
Yeah, I think it's legit. I just don't trust him yet.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, and that's completely fair. I think any Dallas mid, it's hard to trust, but I think it could be a good differential for this week if you need to gain some in overall. Looking at chat, we have was Morgan
Lots of
here.
Haile Selassie.
Haile Selassie. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure what to take of it. I think it's kind of the same as what Andrew was saying with Gutierrez. It's like it is a Chicago guy. DC are pretty poor defensively, at least. He could be pretty dangerous. I personally do not know if I would go him or not. Goody's the PK taker. Is it? Oh yeah, Ian Shihos is out for Chicago. Ooh,
Yeah, I guess he would be.
because
Yeah.
Shihos would be the PK taker after
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
That might
Goody,
actually, but well,
he might be. I'm not sure.
Chi-
It might not be him. It might be him.
it's
I don't know.
Chicago though.
I know.
I can't believe we're talking about Chicago. God.
um. Yeah, looking through some other mid options. You mentioned Cudi Pietro. Jared Stroud has been kind of the go-to guy, or Click. I believe Click is on set pieces. Could be decent, but you're betting on a road player. But it is against Chicago. Looking at the others, I don't see any other mid that's worth mentioning. Berhalter, as we mentioned before.
We might have another Pedro de la Vega start.
Maybe.
Mm.
Could be something. All right, let's move on to forwards. Who do you have, Andrew?
I've got Diego Rossi. I think if Columbus scores, it's going to be through him. He's been such a strong playmaker this year, and Seattle's going to be without Nuhu this week, so that right or the left back position is going to be vulnerable. I don't know if they're going to put in Cody Baker there or Reed Baker Whiting, but neither of them are the defender that Nuhu is. So while they may give a little bit more going forward, there's going to be some vulnerability there no matter what. And I think, he's a great pick this week. I've got Benteke just because he seems to explode every once in a while, and this seems like a good time for him to explode. He's had some great road games. That's where he's done some of his most damage. And Chicago is vulnerable, and DC has been hot lately. Or at least this past week they were hot. But they'd have no problem scoring goals. And then right now I have Morris in my team, just because I think, Rusnak plus Morris has been a pretty deadly combo, and especially on set pieces this week with Columbus down to their third-ish choice goalkeeper, maybe fourth choice goalkeeper.
All right, yeah, it's probably fourth because Evan Bush is out.
Yeah, so
Clean sheet written all over it.
I think
right.
they'll have some dangerous set pieces, and Morris has been decent on them lately. So it's more of a homer pick. I think if I wasn't a homer, I might be looking more at Hero Kuipers or Ponce for Houston. One of them I think is probably going to score a goal. I don't know which, but Ponce got his goal against LAFC last week. Kuipers had a goal of the week candidate the week before. So I think they're both good plays as well.
Yeah. Christian, who do you have?
Well, I think we're all pretty aligned here. Rossi's got to be in there. Benteke, I mean, like if you want to, I've got Benteke on the bench. He is playing away, but he's on fire. So why not? Toucher, I have because he's quality. But you could very easily go with Musa if he's healthy. He's been on a tear. I like Christian Ramirez a lot. if he starts. Ponce as well, Simon Bescher if as an alternative to share. Max Arfson, he's kind of like the Robin Lode of Columbus Crew. He kind of looks bad to the eye, but he gets in and he gets into good positions and he scores or assists or has deadly passes. There are some times that he will royally mess up, but he's actually been pretty good lately. It's kind of sad that he's listed as a forward because I think he's a winger, really.
He's a defender.
Is he a defender?
Yeah, he's their left back.
He's been playing kind of opposite of Farsi, hasn't he?
Yep.
Well, that wing back. They're not playing with fullbacks now. They're playing 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. So I think that Arfson has been good, but he's listed as a forward. So you can definitely take a look at him because he does get very far down, close into the box, and he's in very good positions, dangerous positions.
He had a goal last week, right?
I think so, yeah. And that isn't his first one either.
Did he score? I thought he got an assist. Maybe he scored.
I think it was I think he scored and then he got carded or something, or I can't remember. Pretty sure it's either a goal or assist. I can't remember.
He had a goal against NYC.
Yeah.
Well, you have some
So-
competition in chat, Christian.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, what happened?
Arguing the opposite. Looks good on eye test, but people need to finish his crosses.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, okay, Jeff. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I saw a game. I watched a game where Arfson looked like shit. I mean, he really did. He looked terrible. Everybody's entitled to a bad game now and again, but he just looked a lot like he wasn't done cooking yet. You know what I mean? And I just remember another player like Robin Lode looked like that the first season and a half he was with Minnesota. People were like, this guy plays in MLS, professional soccer. He runs weird, or he kind of stumbles over the ball, or he just has a weird style. And Arfson kind of feels that way to me. But yeah, I mean, he's effective. So I mean, he's a good option. Anyway, go ahead, Tyler. Who do you have?
Yeah, I feel like forwards are, at least 2 of the forwards, Rossi and Benteke, are pretty chalky this week. Your third forward, I think, is a toss-up of whoever you want. I am currently on 2-shirt. But I feel like a lot of the names mentioned are pretty good. Musa, great option. Ponce was almost in my team before I switched to 2-shirt.
Is that how you say it,
Morse-
Ponce?
Ponce, yeah.
Okay.
Kuipers is a decent shout. I saw Vrioni in chat. He's also a really good shout if he starts. If not, Bobby Wood, he's been the starter for them, has been doing pretty solid. And maybe I do like the idea of a New England forward. But yeah, all these are really great options. How about some Polito action? No,
No,
we'll move on from there. We'll move on.
Yeah,
But you heard it here first. If Polito gets a hat trick,
what Langoni is a forward? Is he hurt or out or something?
no, he's their brand new signing. He's been like coming off the bench. He's kind of like a winger.
He's
like a
he's
Paintsill.
played. Yeah.
He's
Oh,
like a
okay.
Paintsill.
he had the goal assist.
What about Emu
Who?
Boateng?
Who? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah.
Nah. All
Nah.
right.
I think we covered pretty much all forwards that are viable, though. Let's
Yeah, let's list
go
off
into
every forward playing.
literally. Let's go into the fun part. Let's see what our captains are for this week.
Marcel
Christian.
Hartel.
Yeah,
Marcel Hartel. I like St. Louis
yeah.
against a New England side that's really stinks. I mean, they're terrible. I mean, they had a little, you know, purple patch there of like 2 games. Wait, was it even 2 games? I think it was 1 game where they just destroyed the opponent. But they can't defend. And I think, let's see who's out for them. New England Revolution, Yusuf, their number 6.
And yeah.
Yeah,
so-
Ariaga's gone. Somebody else is gone too. There, somebody's on red card or
No,
somebody on defense.
no,
Thought so.
I don't have
Eh,
red cards.
I misread then.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I like Hartel anyway because he's good.
Andrew, who's your captain?
I like Hartel, but I think my safer pick is probably Herrera. His floor is just so high, and I think he'll have a great time this week getting another 120 passes or something like that. And potentially a goal contribution would be helpful, but I still think he scores very high. Maybe not as high of a ceiling as some of the other offensive options, but he's probably the one I'd go with. But I do like Benteke. It's
a good shout.
I think if you need to move up ranks or you're looking to move up ranks, he's a great pick. He could give you one of his dud games, or he could give you one of his 20+ point games. Yeah, you never really know. So if you needed to move up, I think he's a good choice.
All right, let me just captain him right now. I need to move up.
I agree with Andrew. I am on Hector Herrera for captain this week. I feel like it's a safe captain week, not a being bold. But I'm like, I like the Hector Herrera because it's like you're guaranteed like a 5-6 and then double it with a possible goal contribution. I also really, really like Diego Rossi this week, and there's a possibility that he gets captain from my side.
Yeah, he was my first choice captain until I thought about it. And he's on fire. I might switch back to him, but
I just don't know what he's going to do with all the absences.
That's my point. I mean, like,
but
their
everything's going to
rotated
run
side
through him.
didn't really
Yeah.
do. I mean, he scored most of his points in the second game when they had the regular starters. So, that's the reason that I went to Hartel, because I know Hartel from his last league and he's quality. So, and so is Rossi. I mean, Rossi is a great captain pick, but I don't know. Pick somebody with a floor, like Tyler said, because this is gonna hurt.
Small week.
This week's gonna hurt.
Yeah. All right. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this week. Hope it's gonna be a good week in general, and hopefully some differentials sneak out there for you guys to gain some ranks and do well in the Champions League that's about to start up. Let's get some plugs in. Andrew, anybody you want to plug, or any places or websites?
Just letting you know that this little friend back here is my cat Ghost, who's been kind of in the background the whole time. Shout out to Ghost.
Shout out to Ghost. Christian.
And Sounder at Heart, right? Probably want to plug that.
Yeah, that's where I write my articles, and you can find them there weeklies when I try and get them out usually on Fridays or Wednesday morning if it's a double game week. But yeah, that's
Cool.
That's where my community is, and we've got a lot of good players over there.
Awesome. Christian.
As always, the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord community, I'd like to plug them. They're kind of like my family away from family, and I love them all. Even you, Ranch.
Love you too. The love-hate relationship, right?
No, it's not
With
a hate.
everyone.
There's no hate. There's no hate involved. It's more like love angst relationship. No. Go ahead. What's your plug?
I'm gonna plug the Discord too, and then as always, the player polls, try to get those answered in the Discord when you get pinged by Christian or Reed. And
Yeah, I gotta do that actually.
The differentials article that drops every week. I think we'll be able to do one this week. There's enough teams. Initially, I was going to say we might skip it, but I think we'll do it. We've been on a roll lately. And then my final plug is going to go to the person we've missed the last 2 weeks, Ashley Savage, who has been on vacation and enjoying her time watching Man City live in person. So, am I really wanting to plug her? But it'll be great to see her back next week. But for now, as always, good luck. All right. I will text Reed as we're in this awkward time now.
Yeah, everybody gets to
end the
watch us be
stream.
awkward.
Yeah.
Just freeze.
Podcast after dark.
Yeah, let's just. Yeah. I'm too ADD to freeze. I swear to God, somebody said that oh, thanks for alerting, Skyler. I swear to God, so I'm gonna have to find that. Somebody said another starting defender for
New England. I don't
New England was yellow card accumulation or
I didn't see
got a
yellow
red card or
card.
something.
I just updated all my.
Well, you're probably right. I mean,
I
you go
literally
through this-
just updated the discipline before the podcast
Okay.
started,
Cool.
and there was no Harks and Polster are on launch, but they did not pick one up.
All right.
How'd it go?
Pretty good.
I was good. I don't know about Tyler.
Recording stopped.
You were good.
You stopped the recording before I could finish the burn. Oh
You can still do it.
no. Yeah, well.